And we're back. It's another Neville and Chill. Welcome back, everybody. I've got a little bit of fun show planned for y'all tonight. I have some stories that I'm going to tell in particular, which I'm looking forward to. But first, I just wanted to tell everybody, I hope you're having an awesome week wherever you are. Hope you had a chance to check out that Sunday Mystery School that we did with the Neville question and answer session. That was a fun one for sure. I was re-listening to it as I was doing some editing today, and there's, the material is one thing. I feel like the questions is something else. I'm not going to say it better, but like it takes it to another level, going over the questions that these students had in Neville's original masterclass. And that's what the topic of last Sunday Mystery School was all about. So I'm going to check out the comments here, see who we have. I was saying hello here while we were waiting to get started. We have Anna. Hello, Anna. Oksana, Bill, Stasio, Ramon, Franangelico, and Jamini. Awesome. Franangelico, yes, broke the fourth wall. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little about that tonight, the fourth wall, and the wisdom of the fourth wall. Maybe that's what I should have called this live stream. The wisdom of the fourth wall and the circumstances under which it can be broken. Hey, Francisco, and hello, Nicole. Awesome. Okay. All right. Tonight, okay, so it's Neville and Chill. Okay, so we're going to be real chill tonight, even though I'm kind of excited. We're going to be real chill. I'm going to start by saying that I realized today, actually like 10 minutes ago, I realized that I was 33 years old when I discovered the teachings of Neville Goddard. I was exactly 33 years old when I discovered the teachings of Neville Goddard. I had not made that connection before, even though I know that like 33 is important in the natural human development. Usually before the age of 33, you're not really asking that many questions about what is life all about. You're usually like kind of think that you've got it and are trying to do it. And then at some point you're like, okay, well, it's working well in certain areas. I could be doing better in other areas. Let me start to ask new questions. And usually that does not happen before the age of 33. So yes, for me, I was literally the age of 33. I was asking new questions, and with new questions come new answers. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. And 33 years old I was when I met Neville Goddard. And of course, that was a while ago now, but I was reflecting on that moment and making that connection. 33 was a magic number for me. We have Lisa. Hello, Lisa. Hey, Bella. Or Lena. I am so excited for this class. Okay, class is in session. Let's do it. And Jackie, longtime mainstay on these spaces. I see several of you that are channel members that I haven't seen on Neville and Chills before. So welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thanks for coming and hanging out with us. If you're a member at the mastermind level, we already have a bit of a community going. And for the rest of you, I'm working on building more of a community. So stay tuned and stick around. And we're going to find ever more interesting, novel, exciting, beautiful, and thoughtful, mindful, intentional ways for us to connect to each other and grow and build and inspire each other for, by, and with each other. It's always better together. That's my approach. That's like my thing about Neville. Neville is better when we're together. Imagination is better together. It's like, it feels like such a solo journey, and it is, but also we're surrounded by all of these beautiful people. So why not make connections and have positive, inspired, growth developing relationships with others? That's my perspective on this. Okay, so Neville and Chill. All right, so the deal that I made with myself tonight was that I'm going to crack open a beverage and I'm going to start talking about the fourth wall. And because of the nature of what this is, it's a little, it can get really abstract. It can get pretty esoteric, and it's a little meta to be talking about the fourth wall to others, so-called others on a live stream. So we're going to crack open a beverage. We're going to do it. And when the beverage is done, I'm gone. So that's how tonight's going to go. So we're going to start by cracking open this beverage. All right. So I've been on a HIYO kick recently. This is HIYO. They call themselves social tonics. So this is a non-alcoholic social tonic, and it is a functional seltzer, and it has fun ingredients such as KSM 66 ashwagandha, passion flower, green tea extract, which gives L-theanine, ginger, lion's mane extract, and then some really fun flavors. So, yeah, this has been my thing lately. This flavor is different, though. I haven't had this flavor in a long time. So this flavor is strawberry guava. Y'all see that? Strawberry guava. So that's what I'm sipping on tonight. Usually it's blackberry lemon. Tonight it's strawberry guava. And if you've never tried a HIYO and you're curious and you want to order it on Amazon, I have a link in the video description. You can buy a pack of HIYO and have it shipped to your doorstep, and you can put it in the refrigerator, and you can get it really nice and chilled and cool. And then at our next Neville and Chill, which is, by the way, when I will have some very special guests, I'll tell you more about that in a moment, you'll be like the cool kids, and you'll be able to sip some HIYO with me, and we'll cheers each other digitally through the internets. Okay, so that's the plan. So if that resonates with you, go ahead and get yourself some HIYO so that we can enjoy it together on the next Neville and Chill. Okay, cracking that drink. Yes. Oh, strawberry guava. Cheers, everybody, to Neville and Chill. And the fourth wall. That is strawberry guava. So the strawberry comes at the front of the taste, and the guava develops in the palate on the back end of the taste. That's my professional opinion. I'd like to know your opinion, though. So yeah, definitely check it out. Cheers. Okay, so first of all, tonight originally was going to be our special guests. They're still coming. They just had a little bit of a scheduling reconfiguration. So they've been rescheduled to next week. And that's the Tamer and Angela, the Magic Love Story from the Portal Retreat 2022. Very excited to bring them on. Angela has been telling me over text a lot about her story, because obviously, I witnessed, these two people coming together, sparks flying, falling in love. I saw some of that part, but I didn't know everything that was going through their experiences as they were, preparing themselves ahead of time to meet each other, in their state and in their manifesting, and so she's sharing a lot about like her journey to get ready to meet her soulmate, and how she was working on her state and like shifting and becoming really intentional. And it turns out, I didn't know this until she started writing to me, but it turns out she's a prolific and beautiful writer. It's like she's very good at expressing herself in writing, and I think she's good also, verbally too. We'll have her obviously in a live environment where we can sit down and talk to her. But I'm thinking about ways to share some of what she's written also, and I'm thinking about maybe putting together an email series, and obviously making it, like a teaching series, from her perspective, kind of like using what she's sharing, and then maybe some of my thoughts. I don't know exactly how that's going to come together yet, but just kind of hearing her tell her story, and looking forward to bringing it to you all in Neville and Chill. And then we'll hear from Tamer the week after. His perspective, he kind of came to learn how to do manifesting and some of these, best practices, and, prepared himself in kind of a little different approach, but it's still like really interesting. And as Jackie says, everyone loves a love story. So here we are, we get to tell a love story. So I think where I'm at is I'm really thinking about what is like, how can I really tell this story? Telling it, having them come on and share. I've got some really good questions, for them, and some like really, some like structure to the sharing to like really make it very impactful, so we can kind of really, celebrate it, but also get the teaching points out of it. So very much looking forward to that. So that was going to be tonight. That's been moved to next week, which clears up the space tonight to talk about the fourth wall. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into it because I've cracked open my drink, taken my first sip. So here we go. What is the fourth wall? Okay, so the fourth wall is a reference to a concept that relates back to drama. If you think about being on stage, if there's a play happening on the stage, usually the interactions that are taking place on the stage are happening in between cast members who are performing on the stage. And the audience is intended to be passive observers, usually. And usually the audience is watching what is happening on the stage between the cast members, as they're acting out the script of the play. And usually the cast members do not include the audience in the play. And usually the cast members pretend in their imagination that they are the character. So cast members pretending that they are the character, they're acting out a character on the stage. And in their imagination, there is no audience. They're literally being the person, the character playing the part. They're literally the actor playing the part of the character in the context of the scene, saying the words that they prepped and prepared for and memorized in the script. Okay, so they're acting out the script, and there is no audience in their imagination. They're just, if they're a really good actor, they've placed themselves in that, and that's just what's happening. And to them, in that moment, that's all that's happening. There isn't even an audience. Okay. In the situation where a character on the stage, not just a cast member playing a character, so in the role of being the character, turns and addresses the audience, the concept that refers to that idea is breaking the fourth wall. Okay, so you can kind of imagine, the stage would be the three walls. So you have what's happening, left, stage right, stage left, and the backdrop. Okay, and so then the fourth wall would be the audience, right? So when you turn and you face the audience as the character in character, and you talk to the audience, you are breaking the fourth wall. Okay. And as Elena just pointed out, Deadpool, the movies, is great at the fourth wall. So Deadpool does a lot of side commentary where the character turns and looks at the camera and talks to us, the viewers who are watching the movie, and makes comments about what's happening in the film. Okay, so that's an example of breaking the fourth wall. Okay, so in my Daily Neville series, I came up with this idea. I said, when it manifests, it won't break the fourth wall. Okay, what does that mean? That was my term for it, won't break the fourth wall. But another way of saying it, let's explore a couple other concepts for this. Another way of saying it is, when I change my self-concept and my state of being in a way that I've now changed my face, metaphorically speaking, right? Like the mirror that is my world will now reflect back to me the improved, upgraded, changed state. Okay, so it's the world that we're living in is a mirror-like reflection of our state of being. Okay, so when I upgrade my state of being, the world upgrades, but it happens usually in a very normal, natural type of way that when you tell the story looking back, you would basically say, oh, well, that would have happened anyway. Like it's hard to really point to imagination as being the cause unless you know what we know, and you know that imagination is the cause of everything, of all phenomena. Then just by default, of course, imagination was the cause. But if you didn't have that as a model of your reality, and you were just looking back, you might say, or if you told someone else, hey, I imagine such and such, and then this happened, they would probably be like, it would have happened anyway. Like it's so normal and natural. Like it makes all the sense in the world why that happened. There's nothing woo woo or manifestation about this. It just happened. Okay. So that's what I mean about normal, natural chain of events, nothing crazy, to be expected. And it just happens. Okay. Give another example. Okay. So, usually, you getting what you desire does not involve also getting struck by lightning. Okay. Like that's not usually like the plot device that is being used. That would be something like very, direct and obvious. Like if you said something, made I am this new state of being, and then like you get like struck by lightning. Okay. That would be like a breaking of the fourth wall. Cause it's like super dramatic, very overstated, and like, kind of this one for one, action reaction with consciousness itself. Another example would be, praying, meaning getting into the feeling of the wish fulfilled of money. And then, you're in your bedroom and you open your eyes, and miraculously out of nowhere, money in the form of dollar bills are floating down from the ceiling as though God itself is making it rain. Okay. Unlikely. It's unlikely that's going to happen. It's much more likely that your bank will call you and say, hey, we noticed that we misclassified a deposit, and this, $30,000 actually belongs to you. It's like the old Monopoly thing, bank error in your favor, collect $200, right? So it's like and then in that you'd be able to tell a story. Oh yeah, funniest thing. The bank called me. It was like, hey, we had this deposit. We misclassified it and it's actually yours. Here's the money. But you would know that you were praying. Okay. So you would know that you aligned with that. So it's not going to just materialize out of thin air. There's going to be a story. The bank's going to call and give you a reason. Someone, is going to say, hey, I've been trying to find you. I have an inheritance for you, and we're not talking about the kind from a prince in Nigeria. We're talking about an actual inheritance, right? Like, you're not going to get an email from some person in Nigeria saying that, there's a prince, with $500 million for you. That just so that's not a manifestation. That's a scam. There's a difference. Okay. But, legitimately an attorney might contact you and say, hey, this person that like you rarely knew, you're the last living family member, and, you're vaguely connected to this estate. And so here you go. Okay. So as an example, usually it's going to come in a way that is pretty straightforward, doesn't really break the fourth wall, and like okay, so let me make this analogy super clear. Okay, so in the stage analogy, okay, so we are the audience, our consciousness, our awareness of being is the audience, like our the I that's observing, our observer is the audience, and then whatever's happening is the stage play. Okay. So it's like, I'm just walking around in my life and like things are just happening. And then the I that is the observer is the audience and is rarely called out directly. Okay. It's more like, oh, just things are just happening between characters on the stage of my world, but they don't usually turn to the that that's the observer and speak to it directly. Not usually. Okay. Another way of saying this, the bridge of incidence is usually chill. Yes, exactly. It's usually chill. Yep. Abraham saying, make it feel real and believable now. It's the next logical step. Yes, there's a logic, there's a progression to this. Yes, you don't need to be bitten by a radioactive spider to embody the quantum hero state. So that's not a very chill bridge of incidence, right? Radioactive spider. So, I mean, technically that could happen, but if the spider, started talking to you when it comes down to bite you and it says, I am your imagination. out pictured as a spider, and now I'm going to bite you to give you superpowers. That would be breaking the fourth wall. Okay. That would be breaking the fourth wall in a very aggressive way. Okay. So not only is it this crazy thing, radioactive spider coming down to bite me, it's the spider is now turning to me, the audience, and breaking the fourth wall and saying, hey, I'm in your imagination and I'm going to bite you and give you superpowers. Okay. So it's like pretty creepy when it does that. Hopefully it never does, but it's like not a chill thing, pretty creepy and very much breaking the fourth wall. Okay. Okay. So Frank says, would you say synchronicities would be an example? Okay. So when I think of synchronicities, it's like, okay. So for example, I had a call with someone earlier today where we were going over, it was like a development call. We were developing an idea. And turns out that I had read something earlier in the day that I didn't know was going to be super valuable for this call, but it ended up being super valuable for this development call. Okay. So that in my mind is a synchronicity. It's like, oh, interesting. Literally 2 hours ago, I was just reading this thing that is now super helpful for what we're here to talk about. Okay. I didn't go into it with an intention to prep for this call by reading that. I didn't even think it was going to be directly connected. Turns out it was. To me, that's a synchronicity. Okay. So is that breaking the fourth wall? I wouldn't say so. There's like breaking the fourth wall is like this very much like, hey, imagination, like really calls you out in that creator state. Like, hey, you created me. That breaks the fourth wall. Like, okay, so when someone walks up to you, okay, let's say you go to the mall and you're just walking through the mall by yourself and you're like trying to get to a store, you're going to buy a piece of jewelry. Okay. And let's say that, in your mind, you have created a piece of jewelry that is it's a phoenix. Okay. It's a phoenix rising up from the ashes. Okay. And you're envisioning it as like a pendant, like you're going to wear this pendant. It's like a phoenix rising up from ashes. Okay. So in your mind's eye, you're like, I've been thinking about phoenixes and like this idea of death and rebirth and transformation. And I really want to channel this energy. I'm going to go to the mall and I'm going to go to this jewelry store and I'm going to find a pendant of a phoenix. Okay. So that's your premise. And so you walk into the mall and let's say you get halfway down the first level and all of a sudden a stranger that you've never seen before in your entire life walks up to you and grabs you by the shoulder and you're like, what? And they're like, hi, I'm from your imagination. I know that you've been imagining a phoenix coming out of, flames as a pendant. And I know that this store over here, has that. So come with me. Right. And so you're like, okay, stranger, I didn't tell anybody that I was thinking about, phoenixes. Phoenixes. I didn't tell anybody I was thinking about the phoenix. I didn't tell anybody I was even coming for a pendant. I didn't tell anybody it was just in my imagination. And this person is coming up and saying, hey, I'm from your imagination. That's breaking the fourth wall. I'm from your imagination and I'm here to show you what you've been imagining that theoretically no one else should know, because theoretically your imagination is private. Okay. That's breaking the fourth wall. Okay. I will say this. I don't think imagination actually is private. I know that the Bible and Neville and other mystics say, only God knows the heart, meaning only your I am really knows your heart. And I think there's an element of truth to that. But I do think that when imaginal pictures reach a certain level of vividness, those who are sensitive can see them as little thought bubbles in the astral, little thought bubbles of imagine. So, I could be holding an image in my mind of something, and someone who is sensitive, even though I haven't said it, I haven't communicated it verbally, It's like a telepathic read. Okay. So I actually have a friend who teaches telepathically. So what she does, and she's insanely good at this. It's part of her gifting. She was born this way. She just has this ability. It's like a superpower. So what she does is she'll talk, and like, the words are coming out sequentially like normal English, like what a lot of us do, linear sentences in English. And the sentences may or may not make sense, like in and of themselves, like you might kind of be following along. But what you notice when you listen to her is that you're actually like, for me anyways, and I think other people too are getting this from her, there's these telepathic images that are being sent, and the words are like the carrier wave for the telepathic images. So what I found when I have hung out with her, we went hiking together one time, right? So we're like just like walking through the desert forest of this place. I'm not going to say where. I'm walking through like the desert forest of this place, and she's just like telling me things. But I noticed that my amount of attention that I'm paying attention to her words is like 10%. And I'm noticing just by like walking next to her and hearing like a transmission, I'm noticing that 90% of what is the communication that is occurring is happening in my third eye. And I'm actually seeing things that she's creating and showing me in her third eye. So she's literally like creating these things and showing them to me, and I'm picking them up very clearly. And then her words are like 10% of what's being communicated, right? So like when you tune your antenna to the point where you're that clear, both sending and receiving, then your imagination is no longer really private. Okay. Because at that point it can be shared. Okay. Yeah. And the difference being whether if it breaks the fourth wall, it calls you out specifically. If it doesn't break the fourth wall, it could just be a really, intense synchronicity. There's so many good comments here. Let me go through them quickly, but I also want to keep that train because I'm on a train here. I want to talk about this fourth wall. Okay. So yeah, Orlana says you'll find $40 worth of quarters at a park. Yes, as an example, contrary to like literally it materializing out of thin air and falling from your ceiling. Yes. And that's a true story. Orlana shared that in the mastermind. She literally found $40 worth of quarters at her park, which is awesome. Stasio, did Neville ever talk about anything related to deja vu? Yes, he did. I'm not going to get into it in this live stream, but he did. I will say it's in the Coin of Heaven. If you go on my channel and you listen to my Coin of Heaven, I think I actually made it an audiobook movie. Listen to that. He talks about a concept. He doesn't call it deja vu, but he talks about a concept that is essentially deja vu. You'll see what I mean when you connect to that. Coin of Heaven. Yes. Shweta's here. Hi, Shweta. Okay. Breaking the fourth wall is obvious. Yes, exactly. That's the key. That's the key. It's like stepping outside the play theater of life, like a wink from the 4D self. Yes. Perfect. Elena says, there are times when I find breaking the fourth wall in dramatic storytelling can help me shift states in a funk. Telling a wild, ridiculous, playful story for fun can help sometimes. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's literally breaking the mold on purpose just to like get back into your playful, curious, childlike wonderment self. Absolutely. That's very, very helpful, useful, a great tool, and a great like reshuffling, recentering, regrounding type tool also. Yeah. Shweta says, one time I opened a book and the book responded right to a question I was pondering deeply in such an insanely obvious way. It felt like it was breaking the fourth wall in that moment, but it was a blip. Yeah. So that's, I mean, when it breaks fourth wall, and I think it's not like this clear line. I think the line is a little bit blurred. So it's like, did it break the fourth wall? Did it not break the fourth wall? Okay. But most of the time it doesn't. And I think that's my point. Okay. Most of the time it doesn't. And I think that's my point. Oh, Shanice, Crystal, Okay, I have to answer this question because I'm such a fan of Shakti Mats. Okay. All right, everybody. I'm going to take a brief rabbit trail to talk about Shakti Mats. Okay. So it turns out earlier today, I was reading a piece by a famous philosopher and mystic, Israel Regardie. And he was giving a review and in many ways a critique of Neville's teachings. And he was talking about how, Neville's premise is perfect. The premise is perfect. It's spot on. It's what all mystics have always said. It's ancient. It's timeless. It's eternal. Like the premise is true. And he was also saying in a constructive criticism kind of way that a lot of the pointers that Neville gives when you listen to his lectures or his books about how to do what we're told to do, in Israel's opinion, is not sufficient. Okay, so he's like, Neville's teaches you the right way to look at this model of reality, and what he tells you to do with it is a little bit lacking for most people. Okay, that's the generalization of these comments. Okay, and one of the things, and all this comes back to the Shakti Mat, just so you know, this is connected. Okay, so one of the things that Israel Regardie points out is he says that we have to really reprogram the subconscious mind. Okay, so like we have our normal day-to-day waking objective reality and programs that we just run while we're awake. While we're awake, we're running programs. And if we want to change the programs, generally we can't really do that while awake, especially not big changes. We can make slight changes while we're running programs. It's like you have to reboot the computer to actually make the change. You know how you install a new piece of software and back in the day, it would say, okay, the software's installed, now reboot. Okay, so it's like you can make certain changes while your programs are running, but other changes, you have to not be running programs to really be able to make them. Okay, so not running programs is akin to getting access to the subconscious mind to install new programs. Okay. So what Neville would say is he's like, oh yeah, well, the way to solve that is state akin to sleep. Just get super relaxed, get super drowsy, get to the point where your mind is awake, but your body falls asleep. And then all of your programs should be basically shut down. And then now you can feel I am. And then whatever that new state of being is, I am whatever your desire is. I am the satisfaction. I am the sense of relief. I am the sense of wholeness, fullness, allness, oneness with whatever my desire is. Okay. So that's the approach. We've talked about that extensively. We teach that every Sunday at Sunday Mystery School. And so Israel's criticism of that is he says, look, a lot of people don't even know really what it is to relax. There's a lot of people that go all the time. And this idea of relaxing to the point where all of the programs shut down for a lot of people is either kind of out of the realm of what they've considered, like, or have context for, or very difficult, or challenging, in some way. Like it's like, it's not necessarily super easy, but Neville makes it sound like it's the easiest thing in the world. And so Israel's point was, he's like, Neville, it was the easiest thing in the world. Why? Because he was trained as an actor and a dancer. Literally, as his occupation from youth, from being a young man, 18, 19 years old, he sails to New York and becomes an actor and a dancer. And what does an actor do? An actor takes something that is not real, makes it real in their imagination, and then boldly acts out on stage with their body as though it were true. Okay, so to Neville, definitely in his wheelhouse. Okay, that's just normal and natural for him. He's able to do it. A lot of people are not necessarily able to relate to this idea so simply. For some people, even the notion of getting so relaxed as to be able to create mental pictures can be challenging. Okay, so here comes the Shakti Mat. Okay, so what is a Shakti Mat? Shakti Mat is a flat, roughly the size of your back shaped, rectangular shaped mat with these little round discs on it that have spikes. Okay. And there's probably 12 sharp points or spikes on each disc, and there's probably 150 discs. Okay. So there's over 1,000 little spike points on this mat. Okay. And I have the mat and the pillow. Okay. So I use both of them together. So you lay on this mat, you lay on this spike mat, you lay down. I'm not wearing any clothing from the waist up anyways. When I lay down on this Shakti mat, I take off my shirt. Some people, it's a little intense. They're like, oh, can I wear thin fabric? If you must, I guess you could wear thin fabric. I would say just grin and bear it and just do it, even if it's uncomfortable. The whole point is to get comfortable with the discomfort. I lay down without a shirt, so it's just my bare skin pressed against these thousands of spikes, okay? And they're pushing into all of the nerve centers and muscles of my back, which really the back contains the whole spinal column and all of the nerve clusters and endings and tissues and muscles and just everything. And then up into the neck and the base of the spine, everything, right? Spikes, okay, pushing into that. Okay, so what does that feel like? Well, at first, it's intense. At first, there's an intense sensation of discomfort. I wouldn't go so far as to call it pain, because it's not like I'm actually being hurt. It's just not comfortable. They're sharp, right? So they're sharp. I've never been cut open by one. When I like sit up or whatever, it's never actually punctured my skin. It's not that sharp, but they're sharp. Okay. So I lay down on this and it creates this intense sensation of almost pain. Okay. And so for the very first time I laid on this thing, I made it like maybe 5-6 minutes, and the sensation was a little bit too intense for me. And I was like, okay, I don't know about this. And so I sat up. The second time that I laid down on it, I was committed to stick with it. And that's because I read their guidelines, and they were talking about the phases that your body goes through as you're experiencing something like this. And so phase 1, it's like the pain. Phase 2, your body releases the natural painkillers, which is endorphins. Okay. Here's the key. When your body releases endorphins, those neurotransmitters are natural relaxants. They're natural muscle relaxers. They're natural mind relaxers. They're natural body relaxers. And so what I found is that the Shakti mat is actually a hack for accessing the mind awake, body asleep, super relaxed state of being that is so conducive to shutting down your programs long enough to write a new program in the form of an imaginal act in state akin to sleep. Okay? So you're laying on the Shakti mat. First, it's pain or discomfort. Then you get the nice endorphin buzz of the natural pain relievers. And then you're in all of the muscles around your spine, which translates to all of the muscles in your body, because your spine is a central channel that sends messages from all of your nerve endings. And we know this, right? It's basic anatomy and neurology. Because all of that is relaxed now because of the acupressure, the whole body relaxes. Blood rushes to where those points are and stimulates and flushes all of those muscle groups. So when I sit up, I have points all down my back, little indentation marks left on my back, and my whole back is fiery red. Okay. So it's like a very strong circulatory stimulation effect also. Okay. So basically a way to supercharge your ability to relax. Okay. So what I found, you're asking for best tips. Okay. So best tips, I would say, don't put any clothing between you and the mat. Just do it. Just go in and do it. Lay down on that thing. Best practice, I would say, I really like also having the pillow. If you can do both, I think that's ideal, having the pillow and the mat. And then breathe and get into your body. Get into your body and breathe through the sensation of discomfort. Okay, so acknowledge that you're feeling uncomfortable, and also acknowledge that you are still safe. You're not actually being hurt. Okay, So this is a way to kind of move that envelope of, same thing with a cold shower. Sometimes I'm like, I really don't feel like taking a cold shower. And sometimes when I really don't feel like I really don't feel like taking a cold shower, that's when I know I need a cold shower. Okay. It's this whole like, I'm choosing to put myself into a scenario of discomfort, even though I don't want to be there, but it's safe discomfort. I'm not actually being hurt. Cold water doesn't actually hurt me, even though I don't want to be experiencing it with my desire, like my, whatever. In the moment, I don't feel like it, but I do it anyways. And especially because I don't want to do it, I do it on purpose because I'm teaching my body and my physiology that I can be uncomfortable and still be safe. Right. So this is like a whole thing. And I'm sure that there's all kinds of fitness and wellness and mental health gurus and experts and influencers who can go into way more detail on how all these processes work. I just know that, I think I'm remembering in my brain vaguely that I heard Andrew Huberman talking about this, about how you stretch your comfort zone, reset your physiology, doing things that are safe, but, uncomfortable, and kind of retraining your physiology so that, when things happen in your life, you're more resilient and you're more able to stand up to the challenges and face them because you've been training. You know how to handle discomfort without freaking out. Okay. So Shakti Mat's the same thing. It's teaching your body to handle discomfort without freaking out. I think that's an important skill if you plan on tapping any amount, any measure of your potential as a human being. You need to learn how to be uncomfortable while still being safe and not freaking out. That's basically the secret to igniting your full potential, is learn how to be comfortable with discomfort and push that edge every day while staying safe, while staying material, physically safe, right? Okay. So Shakti Mat, hacking all of that and then getting deep into deep relaxation. And then I do eye mask, noise canceling headphones, whether I'm playing anything or not. I go sensory depth. I get deep into my body because I'm feeling the sensation of discomfort. And then once those endorphins kick in, because I came into my body, now I can leave my body. So I can project, I can travel multidimensionally if I want to. I can do imaginal acts. My body is safe, grounded, rested, super relaxed because it's on the spike mat. And now all of that overhead is freed up for my imagination. Okay, so if all of that is resonating with you and you're like, I kind of think I need to try one of these Shakti Mats. Okay, I have a link to that in my video description of this video on YouTube, to Amazon, to the actual Shakti Mat company. There's a lot of knockoffs that sell it for less. Okay. And my understanding from knowing someone who bought a knockoff, the quality is simply not there. Okay. So first of all, the actual real Shakti Mat brand who pioneered this idea, they use wholly recyclable materials in everything. The plastic is recyclable. The fabric is all eco-friendly and recyclable. And the people that make it are collectives of women who are tradespeople who do this and are paid well to do it. Okay, so that's why you're paying $70 for a Shakti Mat, is because you're paying for the people who are making an actual living working wage, making these things out of eco-conscious material and infusing all that energy into it. Okay, if you go and you buy the $18 Amazon version, it's from China. I don't know what the materials are. I don't know what they put into it. And it's certainly not a well-paid collective of women who are tradespeople, in a developing nation making them. Okay. So that's why I'm like, just buy the real thing, invest in the type of world that you want to be a part of. Just do it, pay these people for making this amazing product. That's my attitude towards it anyway. So the link in my video description takes you to the real one on Amazon, and you can purchase it. And also, just as a little side note, because we're coming up to the end of the year, they always do Black Friday deals also. So if it's like not in your budget right this second, but something that you want to consider for a little Christmas present to yourself or another, make a mental note to come back for Black Friday, and you'll probably get a nice deal on the, I've seen you buy the mat and you get the pillow for $19 instead of like whatever, $30, whatever the pillow is. Okay. So they have like good deals. Okay. So that's what I have to say. And of course you got me all spun up about Shakti Mats. Yeah. So that's what I have to say about Shakti Mats. And thank you for bringing that to me, because I think that's super valuable. Elena says, I have a level 2 mat. Okay. So I have the original mat, and my Black Friday gift to myself is the advanced mat. That's what I've decided that I'm going to do, because I feel like I've overcome the original. I still get a really nice relaxation out of it, but I'm ready for more. So more is actually less. The fewer points that the spike discs have, the more intense the sensation is. And I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go all the way in. So I'm going to get one of the advanced mats. I don't know if that's level 2 or level 3. I don't know how many levels there are, but I'm going to get something more and go that route. You're welcome. You're welcome, Shanice. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Shanice Crystal, you're welcome. Marcia says, knockoffs of anything are never worth it. In Spanish, we have a saying that translates to cheap things turn out expensive. Well said, Marcio. Well said. Early says, what do you mean by going into your body? So what I mean by going into your body is really feeling the sensation of discomfort. Because sometimes some of us, I used to be there, like maybe 15 years ago. There was an era of my life where I didn't know what being in my body meant. I was kind of like up here, like meaning my presence, was kind of like up here somewhere, kind of like watching things happen, kind of from the outside. And then I went through this really intense initiation at an event. I went to a retreat, and I went through an initiation, and that initiation sucked me into my body. And I remember waking up after that initiation, and for the first time I was like, oh, I'm actually like here. Like the I that I am is actually like here, not like up here somewhere. I'm like here. I'm in my body. I'm here. So when I say like come into the body, it's really feel the discomfort. Don't disassociate from it or kind of like try to push it away. Like get into it and allow it to dominate your experience. Like really feel it. And what that does, when you really feel the sensations of your body, it really pulls you into your body, and your body is your first emanation of your imagination. So you want to have a relationship with your body where you can be fully in it and feeling safe in it, at home and comfortable in it, even though obviously we're talking about doing that through a means that is safe, but uncomfortable. Okay. So it's like, it sucks you in. So when I say sucks me into my body, when I lay down the Shakti mat, I notice that I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about, getting a drink of water. I'm not thinking about, what's happening outside. I'm not thinking about I'm here and I'm in my body. My senses are dominated by the physical sensations of my body. And that's something that only, in my opinion, jumping into a plunge pool that's ice cold and a Shakti mat, those are the two ways that I know to really do that, to really have the physical sensation of your body be so loud that it crowds out all other thoughts, and you're just raw senses in your body. Jumping into an ice cold plunge bath. Like I remember in March, I was in Florida, and I would get up. I was doing a training, and I had to be at the training at 7. And so I would get up at 5:30, and I would walk out in the place I was staying at a house, and I'd walk out, and they had a pool. And it's Florida, but it's March, and the pool is like cold, like not ice, but cold. And so I would immediately get up, roll out of bed, groggy, walk out, and just fall immediately into the pool. Just whoosh. And it's like immediately, like anything that was in my mind, gone. I'm super awake immediately and fully in my body. And by the time I swam to the other side of the pool and got out, I noticed like my whole body was buzzing from the circulation, because that shock your body. By the way, you shouldn't do things like that unless you know that you're healthy enough to do things like that. Okay. Cause like that can literally shock your system. So just be mindful of the cold water thing, but like Shakti Mat's fine. Shakti Mat's not gonna freak you out that bad. It's really not that big of a deal, the Shakti Mat, but cold water can do that. I hope I answered that question early. What do you mean about going into your body? There's 3 levels, Erlina says. Shireen says, well, adding that mat to my list. Yeah, exactly. Will you ever make Neville and Chill merch for us to buy on YouTube? Some teachings and sayings and storytelling phrases could be fun to see on a t-shirt. Elena, yes. So I used to have a merch store and I disabled it because my intention is to retool it a bit. I was running with what you're saying. I was running with some of these things because I thought they would be fun on a t-shirt. I think there's just like a little bit of an upgrade to the vibe, I think, of like the sayings were good, but like the font or the graphics or like how they're portrayed. I was like kind of playing with some of that. So for instance, I have a Neville and Chill t-shirt that literally says like Neville and Chill. And I like that one. That one could probably go up now. But I have some other really good ones too that I think could make it on a hoodie. So my whole thing is like, I don't want to put it on the store unless I would be seen wearing it. And I'm pretty picky about what I wear. I don't usually wear graphic tees. It's somewhat rare for me to wear graphic tees. So like, I have to like really be into it in order to put it up in my store. So yes, it's coming. Frank says, I just did a short Shakti Mat session. I also did one earlier. I automatically started doing the throat humming while breathing. Nice. Yes. Carrie says, hot yoga does this for me as well. It gets me very much in my body. Yes. I know it does for you, Carrie. A little bit less so for me, but I think some of that is a mental discipline thing. I think I could do a better job of not thinking while I'm doing yoga. I could probably practice with that. Essential oils, Elena says, while on the Shakti Mat. So Orlena has been cold plunging, so she knows. She knows all about it. Iron Maiden band shirts. Not yet, Frank. Not yet. Present moment awareness, Early says. So Early says that gives me a better understanding of what people mean when they say present moment awareness. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm here and I'm now, and I'm like here. I'm like in my body here and now. Yeah. That's I love that call out back to the present moment. Okay. All right. You guys ready for the fourth wall broken story? I waited an hour for the main event here. No, this has been good. I've really enjoyed talking about all this with you all. Okay. Was it yesterday? I gotta remember which day it was. I messaged Frank and I was like, Frank, the Matrix broke the fourth wall. He's the one that I tell crazy stuff like this because I know that he'll get it. Whenever it's super crazy, Frank's the guy that I reach out to. So if y'all need someone like that in your life where you're like, hey, if something really crazy happens to me, who can I tell that will get it? That's Frank. Reach out to Frank. He'll get it. It was yesterday that I messaged him. Okay, so here's the story. Okay, so I had gone onto this Daily Neville episode and I talked about how, you know, when you're manifesting, it doesn't break the fourth wall. Usually, it's like, I thought it was kind of a rule. And then, of course, we talked about that at the beginning of this episode about what the fourth wall means and, you know, why it doesn't usually happen. Well, here's the thing. Yesterday, the fourth wall was broken for me. And we talked about what that means. So yes, I mean it the way that sounds. Okay, so here's what happened. And any of you who are in my mastermind on YouTube who have gone through my video series, you're gonna know what I'm talking about because I taught it in my video series. Okay, so there's this concept that I have where I have created my quantum identity and my quantum realm. Okay. And if this sounds foreign to you, it's because you haven't taken the training on it. The training is in my mastermind. Okay. Quantum identity, quantum realms. The basic idea is it's like when you really wake up to this knowledge, you understand that you can be anyone and you can live in any type of world. Okay. So why not lean into that and say, okay, well, if I can be anyone, then who would that be? That becomes your quantum identity. And there's a process for it, a protocol, and you end up giving it a name that is yours alone. You don't share this name with anyone. It's your name for the person that you are, that is your quantum identity living in your quantum realm. Okay. And then you're living in a quantum realm, and the quantum realm you define as your world. You know, you're like, each one of us is a creator. We live in a multi-solipsistic model of reality, meaning that each one of us outpictures our own individual personal reality. Even though we can interact with each other, we're living in our own personal universe. Okay. So if we know that and we understand that and we're willing to accept that and then do something about it, it makes all the sense in the world that we would simply choose the type of universe that we want to live in. Okay. So this is the quantum realm. So the quantum realm, again, process, a procedure, a protocol for really defining what that is. And then the final step of the process is you give it a name. Okay. And again, all of this is gone through in my mastermind. It's a training. It's in I believe it's in the Quantum Hero lifestyle series. There's like 15 videos in that series, and those are at least one or two of the videos talk about this. Okay. So, you know, I'm teaching this. I've also done it. So I created a quantum realm for myself to use as a context and a perspective for reality. And here's the key. I gave that realm a name. I gave it a name. And the name was something that emerged in my own consciousness. I had not seen it used anywhere on the outside in my external world. I had not seen this word that is a name that I gave to my quantum realm. I had not seen it used on the outside in any way that is similar to the way that I am using it. I have not told anybody external to my own self and imagination what the name of my realm is. I have never referred to it on the outside. I've never said it. I've never spoken it. In my mind, it is sacred. It's personal. It has nothing to do with you. It's not your reality. It's my reality. So I don't need to tell you the name. I can tell you I have one. You can have one that's yours, but you don't need to tell me the name of your realm. I don't have to tell you the name of my realm because they're personal, right? So it's like, you can't live in my realm. Really? I mean, you can be a character in my realm, but you can't live difference. Okay. So very private, right? Just only known to my imagination. Here's the thing. Another word for quantum reality is 5D reality. Okay. So the whole idea is that, you know, once you've graduated from really understanding 3D to understanding 4D, then you can graduate to 5D. And 5D is where you understand that there's actually a field of fields of realities, a field of reality fields. We've talked about this in Sunday Mystery School, but that's where you start to leave just the 4D, which is being outside of time, and then like starting to realize that there's actually like multiple parallel realities, timelines, realms. It's the next dimension of understanding what reality is. Okay. Now, for very practical reasons, we don't talk about it a whole lot because it's pretty advanced, and you know, it's kind of something you discover. I mean, you can take trainings on it, but it's kind of something you discover and then maybe structure as you discover it for yourself. Okay. So 5D reality. Okay. So exactly, as Elena is saying, we are NPCs in other people's realms, but main characters and authors in our own realms. Exactly. Perfect. I'm so glad you get it. Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. Yesterday, I open up my phone and I pull down the list of notifications. And there in my notifications, I see something that says, spelled out in front of me, okay? These are the words: shifting to 5D reality blank. And where that blank was the secret name that I had given to my own private, personal reality, my quantum realm. I'd never seen anyone else ever use this word in any way related. And I even looked at one point, it was like many months ago, I did a search for this name because I was just curious to see if it showed up anywhere on the internet. I couldn't find anything that was even remotely connected to the context of how I was using this name and word. And yesterday, I get this notification on my phone, shifting to 5D reality, and then my reality named. And I was like, boom, that's a break of the fourth wall. That's literally the equivalent of someone in the mall walking up to you and taking you by the shoulder and saying, hey, I'm from your imagination. I know what you want, and I know where to find it. And so I messaged Frank, and I'm like, hey, the Matrix just broke the fourth wall for me. And I told him the story. And here's the moral of the story, okay? That whole breaks the fourth wall thing, it's usually it doesn't break the fourth wall, but it can break the fourth wall. That's the point. It can break the fourth wall. So I was using it kind of as a soft law, we'll say. I was just expecting that my manifestations would never really break my fourth wall. And now I have upgraded my awareness to say, you know what? I understand that a lot of times they won't, but now I know from direct firsthand personal experience that sometimes they do. And now I'm prepared to accept and receive that. I'm now prepared to accept and receive when the fourth wall is broken. Okay? I'm going to tell one more story. Okay, so there is this is not a first person story. This is something that I heard someone tell the story about. So there's this person who is a channel, like they do channeling, and I watch them being interviewed on interviews with extra dimensionals. It's a program on Gaia. It's quite fascinating if you check it out. It's definitely out of this world. So this person was being interviewed, and they were describing how one time they were sitting on their couch, and they got like this little, spidey senses inkling or whatever to like that something was happening. And so they're like kind of sit up and they just like turn and look over their shoulder, okay, into their kitchen. And they see, this is how they described it. They see as though someone was unzipping a door between dimensions and then pulling apart the fabric of reality and stepping into their kitchen. Okay? Unzipping the door between dimensions that was invisible, unzipping invisible door, pulling apart the fabric of what used to be their kitchen, and this being starts to step through into their kitchen. Okay? And this person had already been channeling and already knew that, there's other intelligent life and other beings and extra dimensionals. And they already knew all this stuff. And you know what? It didn't matter in that moment. It didn't matter. Their physical human body went into shock and fear and paralysis because the fourth wall sort of, we use it a little bit differently, but that was such an aggressive thing to like just be sitting on your couch and all someone unzips reality in your kitchen and steps into your kitchen like from another dimension. Like that's just so aggressive. It's so much. And so they found that they were like adrenaline and couldn't talk and couldn't move and were just staring in like shock and not really horror because they weren't judging it, right? But they're just like in shock that like this being just unzipped reality and started to step into their kitchen. And so the being like started to come in and then like looks over and like sees them and sees that they're like panicked. And they're like, oh, sorry. And then like backs up and re-zips the wall of reality. Okay. That's a lot. That's a lot for any person who thinks that they're, having a 3D experience and is used to being in a 3D experience. That's a lot to accept. Okay. So I would call that kind of breaking the fourth wall. It's not exactly, because if that being then like popped through and said, "Hey, I'm from your imagination," that would be truly breaking the fourth wall. But it's close, right? It's so aggressive and so intense and so dramatic. This, particularly because like we as a civilization living in the time that we're living, we haven't widely accepted that sort of thing is possible, right? There's like a handful of people on the planet that know that sort of thing is possible. And the rest of us, like we see it in movies and laugh about it, but like it's never occurred to us that could actually happen, right? For a lot of people, I'm speaking very generally now, right? So for most people, that would put them in a state of shock and surprise and probably a little bit of panic, right? Whew, okay. Ding dong ditch 4D style. Yeah, basically, Moon Buddy. Ring the doorbell and ditch. Yeah, kind of. That's funny. Yeah. Yeah, so that was my that's my story about the fourth wall being broken, getting a text message with the secret thing that only my imagination knew, being sent to me. It was not a text message. I just said it was a text message. It was written in text and it was a message. It was not an SMS text message. But that's what I got. And so that really made me realize that my expectancy is now being realigned, because now I understand that usually it doesn't, but sometimes it does. So now I'm not going to get on YouTube preaching about how it never breaks the fourth wall. Now I'm going to get on YouTube and talk about how a lot of times it won't break the fourth wall. Most normally and naturally it won't, but sometimes it can. And when it does, that is when you know. That's when you know. You know, when they say like, if you know, you know, well, that's what they're referring to. When you know, you know. Does it have to do with your level of awareness? I think it does. I think it does. It's a great comment there, Frank. So does it have to do with your level of awareness? It certainly does. Yes. And also there's a whole bunch of things that play into this. So resilience, our whole conversation about the Shakti Mat, we were talking about becoming comfortable in discomfort. There's so many practical reasons why this is helpful. And I think that is like, we're talking in a very physical sense, like literally my physical discomfort, learning to be comfortable with it, but also like learning to be comfortable with our paradigm about the world being shifted. So like my partner and I have been talking a lot about how we openly know, acknowledge, and accept that human beings are not the only intelligent life in the galaxy or the universe. Okay. The universe is teeming with life. And there's a lot of intelligent life, and a lot of it predates human beings as we understand them on planet Earth. So like, to me, that honestly, I'm at the point now where to me, that's perfectly logical. A lot of people are not there yet. Okay. So like, yeah, but I'm there. That's what I see. Perfectly logical, normal, natural to me. And also, I feel like I am more prepared to meet beings who do not fit the traditional characteristics and specifications of what, the last years of my life, the beings that I've been interacting with in the physical have been a certain way, typically a certain type of, human form and like characteristics and like speaking in vocally and like all these things that like we don't even really think about, but like very conditioned to interacting with other humans. So even the idea of, someone that's another being that's not a human coming in their true form, so they're not like pretending to be human, but they're like actually being their actual form and interacting with me, that's a little uncomfortable, a little bit. If it's super uncomfortable for people, then they'll go into fear, okay, which doesn't help anybody. But if they're open-minded enough where they can accept with a level of awareness that there's more to this reality than what we can see with our physical eyes, and there's more to this reality than what we have words for, and that's like a general statement. There is more to this reality than we as a collective human society have ever created words for. So as long as we're thinking in words and we're expressing in words, we are by very definition only really interacting with a fraction, a small percentage of what reality is. Okay. So all like level of awareness, level of resilience, comfort and discomfort, willingness to stretch, willingness to open the mind and stretch the mind. All of these are going to translate to bigger and more dramatic manifestations being possible for you because your mind is ready and available to accept them. Okay. So they say that they've done studies on this. This is like social dynamics studies. So if you're out in public, a very, very crowded public place like a restaurant, and you do something that's really bizarre, like 97% of the people, even if they notice you doing it, will act like it isn't even happening. They will completely ignore it and act like it isn't even happening. And then whenever it's done, 97% of the people will act like it never even happened, like it never even entered their conscious awareness. Okay. Now the question is, did it enter their conscious awareness and they just chose not to engage? Or did they not even notice it because they're so conditioned into the normalness that the outside of that normalness went completely disregarded in their sensory processing program that is their normal waking state of reality? There's a little bit of a distinction there. So I would say that a lot of people, I don't know what the percentage would be, but a lot of people, that's what's happening. Their normal sensory information processing gets this input that it doesn't know what to do with, so it just discards it. It's like, I don't really have any context or frame of reference for that, so I'm just going to pretend it's not even there. Continue on with business as usual. And then some people are like, well, that's a weird input. Probably better not to engage. Let it go. And then other people are like, well, that's a weird input. Let me think about what this means and then choose whether or not to engage. So then it becomes part of their conscious processing, right? And so, and it goes on. But I do think it does have something to do with your level of awareness and resilience and open-mindedness, and also how much judgment energy you're in at the time that something is happening. So that's another way of saying what your vibe is, what your frequency is. Because if you're like really judging things as being, good or bad or right or wrong or indifferent, like you're making sort of judgment on things, that's an energy of judgment, and judgment by definition limits possibilities. So, even in a good way, I'm judging you as being, the world's #1 platinum selling recording artist. And even though that's a good thing, I'm also limiting you. That means you're not a famous astronaut, right? I've judged you to be a world's best-selling performing, recording artist, and I've judged you not to be a famous astronaut, right? So it's like even positive judgments are limitations. All judgments are limitations. Elena says, we've all seen aliens and our minds rejected them. All right. This is probably a conversation for a retreat and not so much a live stream. I have seen things. I have experienced things that fall into that category. I've seen humans do things that humans can't do according to, I don't even know what this particular thing that I'm thinking of would fall into. This particular thing that I saw happen, as far as I know, the human body does not have any mechanism that could create this type of thing that I saw happening, which means that either it was a metaphysical thing or the being was not an actual human being. They were using a mechanism in 3D reality that normal, natural born, of the earth human DNA beings don't have this faculty. And this person that I saw had the faculty. So either they're a mutant, have different DNA than the rest of us, which is a possibility, or they were a being taking on a human form. And I was able to briefly see through that to see like a true identity type thing. I don't really know, but I've definitely had some experiences that made me rethink what I think is real. And I think that's part of this journey also, is learning to rethink what we think is real and learning to kind of loosen our definitions of what we think and believe is real, which also opens up to us to more possibilities, which also, if we're imagining the Neville way and our heart is open, we're full of love and curiosity and it's a joyful exploration for us. Opening up to new possibilities also means opening up to more beauty about this universe. Like, this universe only gets more beautiful the more that we learn about it. That's my perspective, right? To seek to learn and understand it, like it only gets more beautiful. Stay tuned to the Hall of Infinite Possibilities. Yes. I saw your question earlier. You said, have you ever heard of any being able to manifest solid materials out of thin air? Have I ever heard of any being? Yes. Have I ever done it myself? Have I done it myself? Out of thin air? A physical object out of thin air? No, I don't think I have yet. Have I seen someone do it? A physical object out of thin air? Not including like sleight of hand stuff, which is not out of thin air. If you're really using the definition like thin air, like literally that's almost breaking the fourth wall. I don't think I've seen that yet in this lifetime. I also saw your comment about manifesting phone calls on the spot. I've done that. That's actually not that hard to do. If you know how to do it, that's actually really easy. And I'll tell you what it is. So it's you draw that person so close to you in your imagination to where you feel like they're right there in the room with you, and their energy becomes so potent and present that thoughts of you flood their mind, because that's a psychic thing. And so suddenly they'll be like, oh my God, I can't stop thinking about, this person. And so the natural reaction to that is to pick up the phone and call, because it's like, I don't know why, but I just have to talk to this person because they're so present in my awareness right now. And so I've had that happen. I've done that many times. Manifesting phone calls is actually quite easy. Objects out of thin air. Is it possible? I think it probably is, but I don't think it's going to be a break the fourth wall type thing. I think it's going to be we learn how to do it with technology type of thing, which again, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, right? Meaning that because we don't understand how it is done, it appears to be magic, but that doesn't mean that it came out of nothing. It means that we don't understand where it came from. Helpful context for this is to watch the Star Trek episodes where they accidentally relate to a pre-warp civilization that doesn't understand that there's beings from other planets flying around in starships. And so this pre-warp civilization automatically assumes that they must be gods and have godly powers. And so they have to explain to them, we're not gods. We're actually just like you. We're limited and we're human, but we have technology. We've learned how to do these things that to you seems like God powers. So again, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. So there's also some of that. I have to remind myself on the daily that I'm living right now in the present moment in a pre-warp civilization, because I have incarnations in other places that it's not pre-warp. And I don't think that's what we call it actually, but you get the point, right? Like, I have to remind myself that people around me don't necessarily see the world the same way that I do. So, it's one of those things. Can we do a practice on drawing a person that close to us in the mastermind sometime? Yeah, that's actually a great idea for the mastermind. I love that idea, Marcio. Awesome. There are humans with cities, Francisco says, but they hide them so as not to be show-offs. Yes. I think that's also very true. Yes. Moon Bunny, I'm just going to kind of do a rapid fire through the comments here. Moon Bunny says, is time the element that keeps things from going haywire and offers a semblance of congruence? Exactly. Time is a time chain, and it organizes things, events sequentially so that we can understand them with our 3D mind, which is our physical human brain mind, sequentially, and understand the story of our lives, which is the mechanism that we've chosen for this incarnation to know more about ourselves, which is what life is all about. We're here to know more about ourselves in the royal sense. I am becoming more aware of myself by being human now. And the way that I'm doing that is by living a sequential series of events in a time chain. Francisco says, Star Trek replicators are only impossible because the equations we have say it would cost an astronomical amount of energy. So it's our theories that are limited and not our ideas. So is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. We just don't know how to do it yet. But is it possible? Yeah, we will naturally learn how to do it. I've already seen that on our timeline. We will have replicators. That's a thing that exists. There's other species in the galaxy that have them already. So it's just a matter of really changing our understanding of what energy is and where it comes from. As long as we think that energy has a cost, yes, it's going to be a problem. But once we're able to graduate out of that paradigm, it'll open up a whole new level of opportunity. We've got Appalachia rising from Eastern Kentucky. Hello and welcome. Francisco says, Yogananda claimed he witnessed manifestation of food from the ether, and Steve Jobs believed it. Yes. So Yogananda is one of those people, when you read his book, Autobiography of a Yogi, he tells some stories in there that is like time bending, teleportation, where you appear in two places at the same time, bilocation. Yes. Actually, I know someone who teaches bilocation. Maybe I can bring him in as I don't know. Are we ready for that level of content in the mastermind? Can I bring in a bilocation teacher? Y'all ready for that? Or are we still focused on meeting our 3D needs? I'm very aware that there's no need to learn bilocation until we're at the level where we've already met our 3D needs and we know and are very fluent at applying these principles. So I'm not going to go woo with stuff, until the practical, because the most spiritual of practices is the most practical of practices. So let's be very practical and make sure that we're all living our best lives. And then we can talk about something like bilocation. That's my perspective. Francisco is giving us holodeck theory here. Francisco says, I think holodecks create hard light constructs and tap into electrostatic propulsion. Electrostatic propulsion is what stops objects from passing through each other. So Francisco, I've been thinking a lot about force fields recently and how to create a force field in a Star Trek sense. And I think Star Trek takes a lot of liberties with their technology, obviously, because it's a show and not they're just really trying to use them as plot devices. But I have been thinking about the technology of what a force field would be. And I have some ideas. I don't think they're anything groundbreaking yet, but I've been kind of developing in my mind. And I think this idea of electrostatic propulsion ties into the idea of a force field. Very good. Bilocation sounds fun. Yes. How do I request to be a part of the mastermind group? Okay. So when you join the channel, there's 3 tiers. There's channel supporter, there's Sunday Mystery School, and there's Mystery School Mastermind. And so the 3rd tier is the one where the perks are, you get to join our Zoom calls. So every Sunday Mystery School, there's a Zoom call. That's what you see Orlena on and many other members, but I think most of you probably recognize Orlena is always on the Zoom calls. So she's in the Zoom room with me when I'm doing Sunday Mystery School, she and many other members. So you get to access that. So you get to hop on before the live stream for Sunday Mystery School starts. If you want, you can say hi, talk, get to know each other. And then after Sunday Mystery School, most weeks, we have about an hour mastermind session where we take the ideas and we develop them further, and we just go deeper into them. And so how do you join the mastermind? So what you do is you join at that level of the channel. So you go to the channel, you click join, you click mastermind, you join there. And then in the community tab, which is the members area for YouTube, every Sunday I post a Zoom link. And that's the link to join the call at the mastermind. And then it's the same link for the actual mastermind activity afterwards. And once you join the mastermind, you also will see in the members area of my channel multiple additional playlists of videos. And that's all of the past sessions that we've done in the mastermind. And then I've also been going through and splitting out just the guided meditations. And I've made a separate playlist of just the guided meditations so that you can go through and practice the imaginal act meditations that we've already done. So you can kind of get caught up if you're joining later. And then there's also the Quantum Hero Lifestyle series, which I taught in 23, and the Josiah Brandt mentorship, which I also taught in 23, which together total around 35 videos and are a great like step-by-step how to build your life based on sound metaphysical principles way to do it. So I hope that answers that question, how to be part of the mastermind. Cool. All right. That's all for tonight. We definitely went deep. We talked about the fourth wall. I shared my story about it breaking. We talked about Shakti Mats and HIYO and Israel Rigardi and holodecks and force fields and teleportation and bilocation and all kinds of good stuff. So I hope you found this to be insightful, and thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your awesome comments. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for my channel members who show up every week and just bring this amazing energy. I have the best channel members on YouTube. It's amazing. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you all for Sunday Mystery School on Sunday. There's also a mastermind session on Sunday after Sunday Mystery School. And then next Tuesday, we'll have our special Neville and Chill with our guests, our love story. Definitely looking forward to that as well. And until next time, imagine wisely, everybody. And we'll see you all in the next.